Welcome, everyone. This again is Dan DeRozier, and I have with me Brandon Smith. Today we're going to talk about your 5 secrets to running a successful PPC campaign for home improvement leads. 3D Marketing, we're based here in St. Paul, Minnesota, and we've been experts in home improvement lead generation for about the past 7 years. And we're going to give you some tips and techniques that will help you either create a campaign for yourself or hire an outside organization to do it to become more effective at online lead generation. So the agenda today is really we're going to talk about why both SEO and PPC are important for lead generation, where you should send homeowners when they find you online, whether it should be to your home page or a landing page, what types of offers will actually increase conversion and also help reduce your lead costs. And then we're going to talk about the success and the importance of having rapid follow-up on online leads. Unlike other leads, they have to be followed up on quickly, otherwise they lose their interest. And then lastly, we're going to talk about how to calculate your lead costs. And for those of you that are on the line, if you send us an email afterwards, we'll actually send you the spreadsheet so you can do your own analysis. So before we actually get into the 5 secrets, we're going to just talk to you about a few trends that you should keep in mind as you try to grow your businesses this year. And one of those things is really that most homeowners now start their searches online. So it's not in the old days when you had yellow pages or a print ad. 77% of homeowners or more actually start their searches when they're thinking about a major home improvement project. They're starting online. So in that regard, you need to be online to actually have them find you so you have an opportunity to get an in-home appointment and potentially a sale. One of the things that's important to keep in mind is that online marketing continues to grow. And the reason it's growing is a couple of reasons. One is because it tends to be the most effective, or second most cost-effective lead source that you should have as an organization. And if it isn't for you, you probably need some help in improving that for you. But you can see here from the slide that from 2011 to 2016, it's again going to double almost in online advertising. And people aren't doing this just because they think it's popular. They're doing it because that's where the money is, that's where the eyeballs are, and frankly, it's very cost effective. The problem that contractors have is that 60% of them have no marketing staff, and if they do, they lack some of the online technical know-how to get it done, and that's why they hire companies like us or others. And then a lot of them, even if they get started on some of their campaigns, they're not consistently doing them on a regular basis, whether it's social media, are they continuing to do their posts? If it's pay-per-click, are they managing their campaigns on a daily basis to make sure that they're being found online and getting the most cost-effective lead source? Are they writing new articles for SEOs, et cetera? So these are things you do need to do, and if you can't do them, hire someone to help you do those. And then for those of you that if you have a marketing budget, one of the things you need to keep in mind is you need to be moving what we would call outbound marketing techniques, yellow pages, newspaper, TV, radio, home shows, et cetera, and you need to move some of those dollars into inbound marketing. And inbound marketing are things like website SEO, PPC, social media, local search. Is your site mobile-centric? A lot of traffic now is becoming, is finding you from a mobile perspective, video and email. So we suggest that at least 35% of your budget, whatever your yearly budget is, should be in the online space to maximize your return on investment. Okay, so with that as a backdrop, let's talk about what we're going to do here now. I'm going to have Brandon talk a little bit about why both PPC and SEO for lead gen. Brandon?
Thanks, Dan. One of the questions we often get here at 3Deep is, what is the difference between pay-per-click and SEO? What are the advantages to doing both? If I had to choose which medium is right for me, and how can I execute them both effectively? So those are just a couple of things that we're going to talk about here in this segment. One of the reasons why it is important to do both is, Google was a $50 billion company for the year 2012. 96% of that $50 billion comes from advertising. So you better believe that they're going to give preferential treatment to paid search. A lot of people say, I rank really well organically, and you may, rank well organically, but paid search will always outdo you if people are paying for pay-per-click in your market. It also, helps really broaden your possibilities. You may rank well for 10 or 15 different terms, but paid search allows you to really go out and you can bid on as many keyword terms as you want and rank well quickly, as long as you are willing to pay a reasonable amount on a per-click basis. You have well-written ads and relevant content on your landing pages. The process for both is relatively simple, frankly. You want to do some research to understand the intent of the buyer, the consumer, and match that with your company, your story that you provide, the products that you sell, and from there decide what a strategy should be to go to market and what your goals should be going into this. From there, you take that information to create a well-structured AdWord account or website content, create a relevant landing page, or build a well-optimized website, deploy them, and then once both are in functionality, then report and analyze the data and make sure that that matches your strategy and your goals. Search engine optimization has several key, a lot of factors that go into it. And this is just some of those things here. Content is a huge portion of it. Local keyword optimization is very important if you're a local company. It's imperative that you do research so you understand what consumers use when it comes to how they search. Search engine optimization has a long-term value to it. It doesn't happen overnight, but if you do it right from the very beginning, it can last in perpetuity. It does require continual optimization and vigilance, but again, if you start at the foundation and continue to build from there, it will pay off in the long run. One thing to note is that a lot of people consider organic to be free, and that is not true. To do organic well, you need to invest time to get it done correctly. Pay-per-click is a little bit different. It is pretty much immediate. It's a similar process to get set up, but again, keyword research helps you identify keywords that you should be bidding on, based on buyer intent, and then write ads that are relevant to what people are searching for, and then have relevant content on the page that you're sending them to make sure that page is optimized for conversions. So a couple of differences here. SEO has more long-term value than pay-per-click. If you do it right, it'll work for you, in perpetuity. Pay-per-click, fast results, but as soon as your budget runs out, that's pretty much it for pay-per-click, unless you continue to, re-up the budget. And that's that.
Great. So now we're going to talk about where you should drive clients when homeowners are finding you. What should you be doing? And if you've ever read a book, How to Get Your Cat to Bark, by Jeff Eisenberg, he talks about, hey, it's easier to get your conversion rates to double than it is to actually double the traffic to your site. You should keep in mind that about 98% of websites in the world get less than 10 visits a day. So it is important to focus on SEO, but it's probably easier for you to actually double the amount of traffic, double the amount of conversions you're getting on the traffic you already have to your site than actually doubling the amount of visits. So you look at two websites, look at a website. This happens to be Owens Corning on the left, and you can actually see a landing page that we manage for Owens Corning on their behalf. And the question would be, which of these pages are most likely to convert? The one on the left, very well done. You can see some different offers here. The one on the right also has some offers. But the net of it is the one on the right converts twice as well, if not more, than the one on the left. And the reason for that is there's a very prominent ad. It has a very easy way to fill it out. You can download a free guide. And so the net of it is, even though these pages look similar, the one on the right converts better, and that's one of the main reasons why we suggest that you drive pay-per-click traffic to a landing page to get higher conversion rates. And when you double your conversion rates, in effect, you're having your lead cost. And there's 4 things you need to keep in mind, and this is really a little secret relative to landing pages. There are 4 different types of buyers, and you need to have content on your landing pages and, frankly, on your website that appeals to all 4 buyers. And this presentation will be sent to you at the end, so you don't need to take a bunch of notes here, but the net of it is there's 4 buyers, and you might have different buying modalities depending on whether you're buying a car or going to the grocery store to buy detergent. But the net of it is there's the competitive, the spontaneous, the methodical, and the humanistic. And your landing pages have to have content and offers that appeal to all 4, because if you only happen to appeal to the competitive buyer, guess what? You're missing 3/4 of the traffic that's landing on your page. And these are things that we're experts in, and that's why generally our conversion rates on our pages generally are substantially better than other companies. And so you need to keep that in mind. So just a couple of tips. The main contact should always be up on the right. You should have a nice, strong offer with what it is. Always try to ask yourself, look, when you think of a feature, what does that actually mean for the consumer? Give them a couple of opportunities to contact you, whether it's download a free form or get an estimate. Make sure that you have awards on there. If you've won some awards or there's some privacy policies, let them know what's going to happen next. It would also be good to have testimonials on there. And then always have, if you have any footnote information, we've cut this off at the bottom of this landing page, but it tells you what happens to your name if you actually register on the website. So those are some things to keep in mind on the landing page. Homepage, visitors probably know you or your brand. They're unlikely to find you on broad key terms because there's lots of competition there. Too many interactions means they're going to be low conversion rates, and like I said, 98% of websites don't get a ton of traffic. On the other hand, landing pages, we're going after terms where people don't know you but are looking for, are need-based. They're driven on long-tail terms like I'm looking for a siding contractor in Edina, Minnesota versus siding. Conversion rates are generally twice as much or greater, and the visits, the amount of visits you get is really driven by how much budget you have. Okay, Brandon, you want to talk about offers?
Yeah. So as Dan kind of alluded before, you know, it's important when we talk about websites and landing pages to not just grab attention, but to also keep it and then convert that consumer. And a big part of conversion is the offer which you provide the consumer. There are plenty of options that are out there, and there should be one that fits you regardless of your industry or product or price point. A dollar discount is great. People like seeing money off, and it's very definite. They know that that is the amount of money that they're going to save. A percentage off is also nice, but it is somewhat of an unknown if people are unfamiliar with the price point of your product. A free offer is great. That, like a guide, helps the not so much now buyer, but somebody who's wanting to learn more about your product or service. Limited time helps get a sense of immediacy to convert that at that point. A buy 3, get 1 free type of offer we've seen to be very effective. Guarantee, a sweepstakes, and specifically to the home improvement industry, if you offer financing, that is another point of interest for a lot of consumers. This is one of the pages that we've recently worked on, and there are multiple touch points. It's very easy for the consumer to know how they can go about taking the next step. Phone number, more information, get a quote today, download a brochure, percentage off, lots of options going on that page. This is another instance of a very simple, clean landing page. Very easy to convert, a form that pops off the page, and an offer that is seasonal or limited time. It makes people know that they should take advantage of this offer today if they want to get the best possible deal. So again, when it comes to offers, really gauge the intent of the visitor, and have an offer or two that is universally appealing to both future buyers and now buyers. Future buyers are more interested in getting a little bit more information, maybe learning more about your company. And now buyers going to be interested in what sort of discounts do you have, how long do I have to get this discount, what do I need to do now to get the best deal possible.
And one of the things to keep in mind on the now buyers, or actually all of the leads that come in from an online perspective, is to follow up with them immediately. So a study done by Lead 360, and this was over millions of online leads, was that 78% of prospects converted with the company that contacted them first. And what we mean here by conversion is they didn't necessarily buy from that company, but converted. They accepted an appointment for an in-home demonstration to take the next step. So it's critical for you to follow up in rapid fashion. And generally what we tell clients is when you get an inquiry, that would be a web form, obviously you get a phone call. Let's hope that they're not getting voicemail at your offices. But for forms, for sure, they should be, those forms should be taken and should be followed up with within 5 minutes. In this chart, what it's really depicting is that when the speed of conversion is great within the first minute, and you can see it decreases over time if you wait even from 1 minute to 3 minutes, you can see the difference. And then obviously if you wait to 30 minutes or longer, it greatly decreases. Our suggestion for most companies is right around here, within the 5-minute mark and greater should be your goal to take that online lead and convert it into giving them a call back. And you can see that even on the callback, when you call back even within a given time frame, you're not going to necessarily reach them right away. You're going to reach about half of them on the first attempt, and then more over time, and you'll get about 93% compliance after about the 6th call. So you have to have a system in place that allows you to respond quickly, and then have a process in place that allows you to continually call them to get that conversion. Because once you've got that conversion or somebody's expressed interest, you've already paid for that inquiry. Regardless of how you've received it, it's important to be diligent in your response. And so leads convert 22 times more if you contact them within 5 minutes. We just talked about 78% of prospects converting. And then 50% of leads in this study were never called a second time. So our suggestion there is never take an initial inquiry and turn it directly over to rep. Keep that in the office or with your contact center, and make sure you're converting that into an appointment, not leaving it to your sales organization. And then the lead quality is something to do with the lead, but also the process is important to actually get that lead to convert into an appointment. 40% of leads will eventually close, but a lot of times it takes some long-term follow-up. So in some cases, you have to think more of than what's going to happen in the next 30 days. If the rep doesn't close that lead, our suggestion is to take that back into your contact center and have a rehash process to continue to try to foster that lead to get that in-home appointment. The last of our tips is really around how to calculate cost per lead to know if the program's working for you. As Peter Drucker said, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And one of the things that we pride ourselves in is measuring. And there's lots of things you can measure. We only talked about really website SEO and paid search today, but there's all kinds of online things you can measure and offline things, frankly, that you can measure. We suggest that you set up a program and a plan in place to measure all of these things so you have an indication of what's working for your company and what's not working. As an example, just happens to show you a company that we work with where they have paid search, they're doing some organic work, they actually have direct traffic, referral traffic to their website, they're doing email marketing, they're buying some online display, and they're doing social. And what we're doing is we're tracking this from month to month, not only just change in time, but also how much they're spending in each of these online channels. It's important for you to have these metrics available to you at a high level with key performance indicators so you can quickly manage the business and not get bogged down in numbers. As an example, just to show you the details that go into like a paid search, which is just one element on the previous page, these are the types of things that you should be tracking, not just on a monthly basis, but month to month, so you can see trends that are happening from an online perspective. And there obviously is some seasonality related to some of these trends, things like what's the cost per click, what's the click-through rate, what's your conversion rate, historically, how did this compare year over year. And then you can't really see this chart up on the right, but what people are most interested in is what's happening with my cost per acquisition. When we're talking about acquisition, we're really talking about web forms and phone calls. We track these uniquely by each program, so you know where these leads came from, whether they came from your website, a pay-per-click program, a social media program. And the goal really is over time is to see where maybe your acquisition costs were higher, but once optimized, what's your actual cost per inquiry and how does that track over time, and making sure that those numbers are in are effective for you when you figure out how much you're actually paying once you get an appointment and actually close that opportunity. And with that said, this is the ROI spreadsheet that if you request it at the end of this call, we can send it to you. And frankly, you could create it on your own because frankly, it's not that complex. But the point is that these are the types of things that you should be measuring. And a lot of times when we talk to contractors, they'll say, look, online is just not that effective for me. And let's just take the average contractor and we'll kind of walk through why that might be the case. This may not be you, but we'll use this as an example. Let's say the average contractor was spending about $2,500 a month with Google advertising, and the average cost per click for a home improvement click is about $3. You would get about 833 visits to maybe your home page. But the average home page conversion is around 2%, so you would get about 17 inquiries from that. In addition to that, let's say we talked about the website getting about 10 visits a day. The average website gets about 10 visits a day, and you were spending about $1,500 a month, either with internal resources that were focused on that, or whether you hired an outside firm to help you write new content, optimize your site. You would get 6 additional leads from that. And so together you have 23 inquiries this specific month. Now, if you're not responding rapidly, you might have a 30% appointment rate. And then these metrics are metrics you probably already know, and these are variables in the spreadsheet that you can receive at the end of this. But the net of it is, we call this our waterfall chart. If you issued 75% of those, demoed 75% of those appointments that you issued, and you closed 35% of your business, and you had an average sales of $6,000, you would have closed $8,000 worth of business with a little bit over one deal closed that month. If your marketing costs were $4,000, then your cost per inquiry would be $176. Your cost per issue and your cost per sale would be almost $3,000. Frankly, that's a going out of business strategy because your marketing percentages would be 50%. So we know that's not affordable. But so when clients contact us, a lot of times they will say, well, look, I just want to do PPC or I just want to do SEO. The net of it is there's not one silver bullet that's going to solve having a cost-effective online lead program that will provide a return on investment. But in the same scenario, you can see the same $2,500 is spent, the same cost per click, but our landing pages now that are optimized for conversion have a 5% conversion rate versus 2. All of a sudden, the number of raw inquiries you've gotten is 42. With some SEO help, we've doubled the number of visits to your website and got the number of conversions from 2% to 4%. Not as good as our landing pages, but better than they were before. So now instead of dealing with 23 raw inquiries, you're now up to 66. But because you're responding within 5 minutes, and we have a contact center here at 3 Deep to help homeowners, to help customers get in touch with homeowners, we generally see that the appointment set rate is around the 60% mark. And all of a sudden now, these 66 raw inquiries, you've converted 39 of them into appointments. And then if the rest of this holds true, because these are really the responsibility of the contractor, instead of closing $8,000 worth of business, you have over 3 times that amount of business for the same amount of marketing, and now your cost per raw inquiry is around $60 appointment, and cost per sale is more in that affordable 10 to 15% range for marketing costs. So again, it's not one thing that makes a difference. It's a bunch of things in conjunction that help you to create an effective and affordable online strategy. So in summary, the net of what we're trying to do is really make online marketing work better for you. So when a homeowner is searching online, we want them to find you, and paid search and SEO are 2 great ways for them to do that. Whether they learn about you on landing pages or websites, the goal is to get them to contact you, the phone to ring, or the form to be completed. The goal is to get an in-home appointment with you, the contractor, and then with help, either you measure it or with help from organizations like us, measure it and know which of these online mechanisms and offline mechanisms are driving the highest return on investment for your organization. So in summary, the 5 secrets are really you should be doing SEO and PPC. 90% of the of the clicks you're going to get on one or the other rarely overlap, so there's only about 10% overlap, so you should be doing both. It's certainly important to improve SEO on your website, but if you decide to do paid traffic or are doing it now, drive them to specific landing pages because you'll get higher conversion rates. As Brandon was talking about, you should have offers that appeal to the now buyer, like dollars off, % off, buy 3, get 1 free, but also appeal to the future buyer with some guides and get that name and then put them in a lead nurturing program to ultimately turn them into a lead. And then always have a goal of 5 minutes or less to respond to these internet leads. It'll greatly increase your appointment set rates and your conversion. And then measure everything on a regular basis to know if your marketing dollars are producing results for you. As an example, clients that work with us, and we've listed some brands here that are in the home improvement space, there's 2 things to keep in mind here. One is the leads before engaging 3Deep as a company went from 700, they jumped by 85%. The cost per lead when they were doing it with a different organization or doing it internally, and the cost per lead after. So when we generally work with clients, what you're going to see is greatly increased leads after working with us and a reduction in lead cost because we're that much more effective because we're dealing with the online environment every single day. Our people are trained in this, and we're just way more effective at it than generally most contractors are. So if this would be something that you would be interested in, you can contact Brandon or I at either of these email addresses. And right now, if you have any questions, we have about 4 minutes left. If there's any questions out there, we'd be happy to take your questions and talk to and talk to you. So we're going to open up the line now, and you can ask questions, or you can, if you don't want to ask a question and want to chat, you can ask us a question there as well. Okay, I don't see any questions yet. Any questions? Questions, there we go. Send the spreadsheet. Yep, we can certainly send the spreadsheet, and we'll do that. Yes, we will email the presentation to you. Great. So it doesn't look like there's any specific questions around the content or anything else. So with that, Brandon and I will close the presentation, and we will send out the presentation and the spreadsheet. And we appreciate you joining us today for our seminar. Thank you very much.